He was the town's top cop, chief of police, trusted, respected, untouchable, until the truth came out. Grant Hardin wasn't just enforcing the law, he was violating it in the worst possible way. First, he committed a brutal murder, execution style. But when investigators ran his DNA, it didn't just solve that case, it cracked open a cold case that had been sitting for 20 years. A violent sexual assault, unsolved until now. The predator was the cop, and now he's escaped from prison, wearing a corrections officer's uniform. The man at the center of HBO's Devil in the Ozarks is back in the wild, and now law enforcement is scrambling to find him. So, what did he do to end up behind bars in the first place? And how did he slip right out the back door? I'm Chris. Thanks for joining me. Let's recap. Grant Hardin, a former police chief turned convict, just pulled off a prison break straight out of a movie. It's Sunday afternoon, just before 3, at the North Central Unit in Calico Rock, Arkansas. Grant, now 56, has been locked up there since 2017, doing serious time for rape and murder. But on this day, he's not an inmate. Not on camera, anyway. A security camera catches the moment he makes his move. Grant Hardin, dressed head to toe in what the Department of Corrections called a makeshift law enforcement outfit, not standard issue, not official, but convincing enough to pass for the real thing. He's seen pulling a fully loaded dolly like he's just finishing a shift, like he belongs there. But he doesn't. Then, a prison officer, completely unaware, opens a security gate, and just like that, he walks out. By the time anyone realizes what happened, he's already gone. Grant Hardin, the man they call Devil in the Ozarks. His crimes were so disturbing, HBO made a documentary about them, charting his fall from small-town police chief to cold-blooded predator. And it all started with one terrifying attack. A cold case that haunted Arkansas for 20 years. It's Sunday morning, November 1997. An elementary school teacher heads to her classroom to prep lesson plans for the week. It's quiet, but not empty. There's a church service going on in the cafeteria with 250 people just down the hall. She doesn't feel unsafe. Why would she? Around 11:30 a.m., she takes a quick bathroom break in the teacher's lounge. But on her way out, she's ambushed. A man in a stocking hat and dark sunglasses forces her back inside, at gunpoint. Then he brutally assaults her and disappears. Police release a sketch. Her case even makes it onto cold justice. But the trail goes cold for 20 years. Until a shocking murder in the next town over blows everything wide open. Before the murder, before the escape, before the HBO documentary, Grant Hardin had been bouncing from one badge to the next for decades. In 1997, when that elementary school teacher was assaulted, he was working just down the road as a cop in Eureka Springs. And by 2016, he'd clawed his way up to chief of police in Gateway, Arkansas, a tiny town of just 450 people. At first, folks thought it was just small-town policing. But then things started to feel off. Almost overnight, Gateway changed. People say Grant started chasing cars for no reason, pulling people over at random, even pulling his gun on people, acting more like a cowboy than a cop. And then it escalated. James Appleton was a fixture in Gateway, 59 years old, worked for the water department, well-known, well-liked, the kind of guy you wave to on your way to the store. His brother-in-law was the mayor. His sister? She's the mayor now. Everyone in town respected James, except one man, Grant Hardin. And while most people kept their heads down around the new police chief, James didn't. He stood up to him. And Grant didn't like that. In the spring of 2016, things came to a head. James confronted the chief over a patrol car that needed fixing. It started as an argument, then turned into a full-on feud. It got so heated, the town council stepped in. They gave Grant an ultimatum. Resign or be fired. He quit just 4 months after becoming chief. 9 months later, James Appleton was dead, shot in the head in cold blood. Let's go back to February 2017. James is behind the wheel of his truck driving through town. He's on the phone with his brother-in-law, who also happens to be the mayor. They're chatting, nothing out of the ordinary. Then James pulls over to the side of the road to finish the call safely. He's just idling there, still talking, and then, out of nowhere, a white Chevy Malibu comes flying up behind him. It stops. The mayor hears a loud bang on the other end of the line, and then, nothing. Silence. Meanwhile, another driver nearby hears the shot too. He looks up, sees the white Malibu peel away from the scene, and something tells him to stop. He pulls over, walks up to James's truck, and finds him slumped over the wheel, shot in the head, dead. It didn't take long for the town to start whispering one name: Grant Hardin. In a place with only 450 people, everybody knows everybody, and everybody knew about the feud. Police zero in fast, and then they find blood in the white Malibu. Hardin's car, Hardin's bullet, Hardin's murder. He's arrested, charged, and ultimately he pleads guilty. The man who once wore the badge is sentenced to 30 years in prison for cold-blooded murder. But Grant Hardin is hiding more than a murder. As part of routine intake, officers swab his DNA. They send it off, standard protocol. What comes back? Not standard at all. It hits on a 20-year-old cold case, Rogers, Arkansas, 1997. A teacher attacked at gunpoint. The suspect wore a stocking cap and sunglasses and then disappeared. The case went cold, but now it's red hot because the DNA says what no one ever suspected. It was Officer Grant Hardin, the trusted cop, the church-going small-town chief, the predator in disguise. That DNA test added 50 years to his sentence. But, as we know now, he wasn't planning to stay in prison. He was 8 years into an 80-year sentence, and he wasn't waiting around for the other 72. May 25th, 2025, he makes his move at Calico Rock, a medium-security prison tucked deep in the Ozarks. Hardin shows up at the employee gate, not in an inmate uniform, not in a guard uniform, something else entirely. A spokesperson for the Arkansas Department of Corrections said, "There's nothing inside the prison that looks like that." They still don't know exactly how he got the outfit or who might have helped him make it. But it worked. A corrections officer, fooled by the disguise, opens the gate. And just like that, Hardin walks out. No sirens, no chase, just gone. Now the search is on. Drones, helicopters, dogs, teams on foot, combing the rocky wilderness of the Ozark Mountains. But the terrain is brutal. The area is dense, dangerous, and hard to navigate. But if anyone can avoid being caught, it's Grant. People who worked his case say one thing loud and clear: he's no fool. He's a highly intelligent sociopath with deep knowledge of law enforcement, which means he knows exactly how to avoid it. That's what makes him so dangerous. He doesn't just know how to disappear, he knows how the people chasing him think. And back in Gateway, where he once wore the badge, people are scared, afraid he'll come back to settle old scores, because if there's one thing Grant Hardin knows how to do, it's hold a grudge. And the rest of the country is asking the same question. Why was a violent predator like this in a medium security prison to begin with? Not maximum security, not locked down, just waiting for his moment to walk out the door. Do you think someone like Grant Hardin, a killer, a rapist, a former cop, should ever have been placed anywhere but the highest security facility we've got? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you like getting all the crime in half the time, I'm Chris. Amy and I are here 3 times a week with new recaps. Until next time, stay safe out there.